Hey everyone, Kelly Dean Allen here with you again. Today on Quick Riffs, we're going to have a look at how to play the very cool opening riff to Summer Nights by the late, great, and mighty Eddie Van Halen. Now, when it comes to being a fan of Van Halen, there's definitely two camps at play. David Lee Roth era Van Halen and Sammy Hagar era Van Halen. Probably will not surprise you in the least that I fall firmly into the David Lee Roth era camp, as the more pop rock, radio-friendly Sammy Hagar era of Van Halen just wasn't much to my taste at the time. Still isn't. That said, Eddie's incredible guitar playing still shone brightly throughout all of it. Of that, there's no denying. And the riff that we'll be looking at today is certainly a prime example of that. Amazing guitar riff. Let's close in, have a look at how it's played, shall we? Alright then, Summer Nights, Eddie Van Halen from 5150. We are in standard tuning for this tutorial. We have a capo on the 3rd fret, and the reason we have a capo on the 3rd fret is because Eddie Van Halen was playing a Steinberger guitar when he played this one. And a Steinberger guitar at the time, you could raise the whammy bar and lock it in place. So he raised the whammy bar 3 semitones and locked it in place, right? And so it would raise the pitch of the guitar 3 semitones. I don't have a Steinberger guitar, so we're going to use a capo on the 3rd fret and play it the same way he would play it, but, you know, a couple of frets higher with a capo on the 3rd fret. Now, we're dealing with just a couple of chords here, G, D, A. But we're starting with G. We're not really getting down to the high E string. We're going to catch the B and the open G string on the upstroke. And then we're just going to ride down the bottom 3 strings. Kind of like that, right? Right down to a D5 chord that you're going to choke off. Like I said, we're not getting down to the high E. We are going to get down to the high E at one point during this riff, but not right here. Right? Now we're going to get down to the high E. So we're holding in this D, we're going to keep the high E open, so this is a D sus2, and we're going to ride down the top 4 strings, and then back up to the B string and choke it off. Right, kind of like that. And then we're going to go back into G, and now every other time going forward when we're playing in G, coming off that upstroke, right? We're going to go A, D, G, not going up to the low E string. The very first time he does this, right? Low E, A, and D. Every other time, he's going to go A, D, G, right? So every time going forward now that we go drop into G, after that upstroke, we're going to go A, D, G, right? And then after you do that A, D, G, we're going to drop into a little double stop here. Catch it on the upstroke, just a bar here on the 5s, G and B, and pull 6 off to 5 on the upstroke. Kind of like that, and then drop into A minor. And go D, B, G, D, right? And then choke it off. So from the beginning. Right? And that's the riff, and you're going to repeat that 3.5 times. And the final time, you're just going to go 5 of the A, open, open, right, open D, open G, right into an A power chord that you're going to choke off. And that's the opening riff. Let's run through it nice and slow. Right? And then we drop into this. Just G to D. Full chords, right? And then a big pick straight down the neck, right? And then we're going to go G into A, right? And then we're going to play this lick. So open D and then pull 7 off to 5 off to open of the D. Do the same thing on the A string and then drop onto the 6th fret of the low E and choke it off. Kind of like that, right? Pick scrape to A, right? And then G to D again. Another big pick scrape. And then G to A. And then this rather awkward lick to play. Right there. Open A, 5, 6, 7, and then you're going to drop your pinky on the A to the D and then reverse that 7, 6, 5. Pull it off to open and then grab that 6th fret of the low E again and choke it off. It's very awkward to play. Right? And then another G to D, another pick scrape, and then off to A, and then we're going to go into what we're going to call F sharp, and then down to B. Little whammy bar on that B chord, right? It's not a B chord, it's actually a D chord because of the position we're in, right? But we're calling it in relation to the capo. And that's the riff to Summer Nights by Van Halen. So let's recap that. Right, and then G to D. Big pick scrape, G to A. Lick, to D, pick scrape, awkward lick, pick scrape, F sharp, B, whammy bar, right? And then the song proper gets underway. And there you go. That is how you play the opening riff to Summer Nights by Van Halen and the late, great Eddie Van Halen. Certainly hope you enjoyed that, found it helpful. If you did, please hit that like button right down there. Maybe drop me a subscribe if you haven't done that already, as that'd be very kind. Hope you're well out there, and we will see you next time. Cheers.